You know that feeling, right? You want to get up to speed on something really important, like, say, the future of AI. But there's just so much stuff out there, articles, reports. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, knowing where to even start.
Exactly. So today, we're doing a deep dive. We've sifted through a bunch of sources to pull out the key stuff, the things you really need to know, without getting totally bogged down.
And we've got a pretty interesting mix, actually. Some forward-looking stuff from Alltech Magazine, a really solid analysis from Brookings, a big overview from Intech Open,
Right.
and even some perspectives straight from IBM on the tech itself. So it's a good range.
Yeah, it should give us a good picture. Our mission today, let's try and cut through the noise, get clear on what the future of AI might actually look like.
Okay.
We'll touch on the big expectations, how jobs might change, and importantly, how we make sure this tech actually, aligns with human values.
There are definitely some surprising things in there.
For sure. Hopefully a few aha moments for you listening.
Okay.
Okay, so let's jump in. What are the big things we should expect from AI going forward, based on what we've seen?
Well, one idea that keeps popping up is this concept of human-machine symbiosis.
Symbiosis. Okay, so working together.
Exactly. It's not the AI takes over narrative. It's more like AI as a partner, something that extends our own abilities. Think enhancing problem solving, boosting creativity, making us more productive. The focus is really on collaboration.
That sounds, well, more positive than some headlines, maybe. Where will we see this collaboration happening? Healthcare comes to mind immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Healthcare potential is massive, and
Yeah.
it's already happening. AI is getting better at spotting diseases earlier, more accurately,
Right.
which then allows for really personalized treatments. Plus, it's speeding up drug discovery, which is usually such a long process.
Yeah, years and years.
Right. And there was this one example, IBM Watson, diagnosing a rare leukemia super fast. Like after doctors have been puzzling over it for months. It just shows how AI can crunch through vast amounts of medical data, find connections, things humans just can't process at that speed or scale. It could really help with those tricky diagnoses.
That's incredible. Okay, moving on from health. Autonomous vehicles. We hear about them constantly. How close are they really?
Well, autonomous systems generally are a huge focus. The investment is staggering, like
Yeah.
$80 billion poured into AV tech between mid-2014 and mid-2017 alone.
80 billion. Okay.
Yeah. And that's not just cars. It's trucks, drones, even smart appliances in your home. The goal is convenience, efficiency.
Streamlining things.
Exactly, making transport smoother, daily tasks easier.
So maybe less traffic, smarter homes. What else? Personal assistants, I guess they'll get smarter too.
Definitely. Imagine an assistant that doesn't just wait for commands, but actually, anticipates what you need,
Uh-huh.
understands you better, maybe even handles tasks proactively. It's a deeper level of support.
It's not all just personal convenience, though, is it? I saw mentions of AI tackling bigger problems like climate change.
Yes, that's a really important area. AI strength is analyzing huge, complex data sets.
Right.
So it can look at environmental data, help figure out better ways to optimize energy use, monitor pollution more accurately, even improve climate models.
It really feels like it could touch almost everything. Education, too.
For sure. Think AI-driven learning platforms. They can adapt the lessons, the pace, to how each individual student learns best.
Personalized learning?
Exactly. Could be a major shift in how we teach and learn.
Okay, this all sounds very promising, potentially transformative. But what's actually driving all this? It doesn't just happen, right? What are the key ingredients?
No, definitely not automatic. Several things are crucial. First, obviously, is the research and innovation itself. Breakthroughs in deep learning, reinforcement learning, natural language processing.
The core tech.
Right, the engine behind it all.
Yeah.
That has to keep advancing.
Makes sense. What else?
Data. AI learns from data, so you need lots of it. It needs to be high quality and, importantly, diverse data. Otherwise, the AI can be biased or just not very good.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Too much. Then you need the muscle, the computational power, GPUs, TPUs, the hardware that could actually handle these complex calculations efficiently.
So the brains, the fuel, the muscle.
Yeah.
Got it. Any other, enabling factors?
Yeah, a few more. The idea of continual learning is important. AI systems need to adapt as the world changes, as new data comes in.
Keep learning on the job, so to speak?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's AI moving on to edge devices, your phone, your car, sensors.
Oh, right. Processing locally.
Exactly. Faster decisions, right, where the data is generated, more efficient. And finally, global collaboration, sharing knowledge, best practices across borders. That speeds everything up.
Okay, that brings us to something that was really stressed in the materials. Ethics. It sounds like this isn't just a side issue, it's fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental. We have to think about responsible development and deployment. Take bias, for example. If the data AI learns from reflects existing societal biases, well, the AI will just learn and amplify those biases. We saw that with some early recruitment tools, right?
Yeah.
Favoring certain names.
Yeah, I remember that. So fairness is key. And it's not just about avoiding bad outcomes, but also understanding how AI decides things. Transparency, accountability. Those words keep coming up.
Precisely. We need explainable AI. We need to be able to understand, or at least interrogate, the decision-making process.
Yeah.
That builds trust, allows us to fix errors.
Makes sense.
And related to that is privacy and data protection. AI often needs lots of data, so much as personal data, so strong safeguards are crucial. Think GDPR in Europe, for instance.
Okay. It feels like the goal, overarching, is maybe enhancing what humans do, not just replacing us. That collaboration idea again.
That's the ideal, yes.
Yeah.
Augmenting human capabilities, letting us focus on the stuff that requires, human judgment, creativity, empathy. But we also need to be really mindful of unintended consequences. Job displacement is one, obviously, but also things like misinformation or the risks of fully autonomous decisions in critical areas.
It sounds like we need a really broad conversation about this, ongoing.
Definitely. Involving everyone, experts, policymakers, the public. We need to navigate this together. And that includes thinking long-term, especially as we get closer to maybe more general AI, ensuring it stays aligned with our goals.
Okay, let's pivot to jobs then. We touched on displacement. What's the bigger picture for the workforce?
Well, it's going to be a significant shift. Automation of routine tasks is definitely happening. Think data entry, some admin work, basic customer service chatbots.
Through repetitive stuff.
Mostly, yes. So some jobs in those areas will likely decline.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right? The sources also mention new types of jobs emerging.
Absolutely. It's also creating demand. Huge demand for people who can build, manage, and analyze AI systems, AI developers, machine learning engineers, data scientists.
Right.
And entirely new roles are likely to pop up, like AI ethicists or AI trainers. Plus, many existing jobs will just change, incorporating AI tools into how people work.
So transformation more than just elimination.
That seems to be the prevailing view. The hope is increased productivity overall. AI handles some tasks, freeing up humans for more complex, creative, strategic work. We'll also need people focused on the ethical side, policy experts. But there's a risk of polarization.
How so?
Well, you might see growth in high-skilled jobs requiring AI expertise, while lower-skilled jobs that are easily automated might shrink. This could, worsen inequality if we're not careful.
So that adaptability, lifelong learning becomes really crucial.
Absolutely essential for individuals and for society to manage that transition.
Okay, so we need to be proactive about managing these shifts. We talked about the importance of aligning AI with human values. What concrete steps are actually being taken? How do we do that?
Good question. There are several approaches. Many AI labs and companies are creating ethical guidelines, internal frameworks to steer development.
Like a code of conduct?
Sort of, yeah. And setting up internal ethics boards or committees for oversight. Collaboration is also key, bringing ethicists, social scientists, lawyers into the development process, not just engineers.
Getting different perspectives makes sense. Is the tech itself changing to help?
Yes. There's a big push for that explainable AI we mentioned, making the black box less black.
Right.
And developing tools specifically to detect and mitigate bias in datasets and algorithms, trying to actively build fairness in. The goal is really to embed values into the system's design. And of course, focusing on robustness and safety, making sure AI systems don't fail in harmful ways or get easily manipulated.
Are governments getting involved too? Regulation?
They are. Increasingly, we're seeing regulatory frameworks being discussed and developed globally, like the proposed AI Act in the EU, or efforts in the US like the Future of Artificial Intelligence Act, which aims to boost competitiveness but also address ethics, data sharing, privacy.
So setting some ground rules.
Exactly. Plus, public awareness is vital. People need to understand the basics, the implications. And things like AI impact assessments, evaluating potential harms before deployment, are becoming more common. Plus, initiatives specifically aiming AI at social good problems.
It's really striking when you look at where AI is already being used. It's not just theory.
Not at all. It's very much active now. Finance, for example, fraud detection, personalized robo-advisors for investing, high-frequency trading. Investment in AI there tripled between 2013 and 2014.
Wow.
National security uses it for analyzing surveillance data. Healthcare, as we said, disease detection, IBM Watson's diagnostics, even assisting in precision surgery.
What about areas like criminal justice? That seems controversial.
It is. There's predictive policing, like Chicago's system, but huge concerns about bias reinforcing existing inequalities. Algorithms like Compass used in sentencing have faced similar criticisms.
Right, bias in the data leading to unfair outcomes.
Exactly. But there's also AI for legal research, like tools that help lawyers find relevant cases faster.
Okay. And transportation, we mentioned AVs.
Yep, huge focus there. Cars, trucks, drones, AI for navigation, collision avoidance, using things like LiDAR. Ride-sharing companies like Uber made big deals, though safety concerns remain, like that fatal accident in Arizona highlighted.
A stark reminder of the risks. What about cities?
Smart cities are a growing application area. Using AI to optimize emergency responses, Cincinnati's fire department was an example. Managing energy grids, traffic flow, public services, Seattle, Boston are doing things there.
And businesses, just generally.
Across the board.
Mm.
Better decision-making, fraud detection. The UK's tax authority has a system called Connect, personalized marketing, HR using AI to screen resumes. Education, we touched on personalized learning, but also AI text generators like ChatGPT are having a massive impact.
Oh, yeah.
Managing infrastructure like power grids, public safety monitoring, environmental tracking, even surveillance for military or police use, which again raises serious human rights questions.
It's everywhere. Okay, maybe let's take a quick step back. Can you briefly unpack the tech terms? AI, machine learning, deep learning.
Yeah.
How do they relate?
Sure. Think of it like nested dolls. Artificial intelligence, AI, is the biggest doll, the broad concept of making machines smart.
Okay.
Inside that is machine learning, ML. That's a way to achieve AI. It's about algorithms learning from data without being explicitly programmed for every single step. Supervised learning, where you give it labeled examples, is a common type.
Right, like showing it pictures labeled cat or dog until it learns.
Exactly. Then inside the ML doll is deep learning. That's a type of machine learning using complex, multi-layered neural networks, hence deep.
Inspired by the brain, kind of?
Loosely, yes. Deep learning is really good at finding intricate patterns in massive amounts of data, often unlabeled data that's unsupervised learning. It powers a lot of cutting-edge stuff, image recognition, natural language, includes other methods too, like reinforcement learning, where it learns by trial and error.
Got it. AI, ML, deep learning. And generative AI, like ChatGPT, where does that fit?
Generative AI is basically a set of deep learning techniques. These models can create new content, text, images, code, whatever, based on the patterns they learned from the data they were trained on and the prompt you give them.
So they're not just analyzing, they're creating.
Exactly. Models like VAEs, diffusion models, and especially transformers, which underpin things like ChatGPT and GPT-4 are key here. There's usually a big training phase on huge data sets, then fine-tuning for specific tasks, often with human feedback, and then the actual generation and evaluation.
Okay, that helps clarify the landscape. Now, with all this power, what are the main risks or challenges we need to watch out for?
Well, on the data side, there are big risks. Data poisoning, deliberately feeding it bad data to mess it up, tampering with data, bias, as we discussed, and just standard cybersecurity threats, like breaches stealing the data AI relies on.
So data security and integrity are paramount, and ethically. We've covered bias, but what else?
Privacy violations are a major concern, obviously. Ensuring accountability, who is responsible when an AI makes a mistake. And transparency, being able to understand why it made a decision.
Right, those core principles again. Can we quickly recap those main ethical governance points?
Sure. Key principles guiding responsible AI include explainability and interpretability. Can we understand the decision?
Okay.
Fairness and non-discrimination, avoiding biased outcomes. Accountability and transparency, knowing who's responsible and how it works. Privacy and compliance, protecting data, following regulations. Robustness and reliability, making sure it works safely and consistently.
And keeping humans involved.
Yes, human oversight and control, ensuring humans remain in the loop, especially for critical decisions.
It's amazing to think how far this field has come. Can you give us just a few highlights from AI history? It didn't start with ChatGPT.
Oh, definitely not. The seeds were sown way back. Alan Turing's famous 1950 paper asking, can machines think? And proposing the Turing test.
The imitation game.
Right. Then the term artificial intelligence itself was coined by John McCarthy at the Dartmouth Conference in 1956. That's often seen as the official start.
56, wow.
Yeah. Early programs like the Logic Theorist came out then too. early neural networks like the perceptron in the 60s,
Hmm.
then a bit of a lull, the AI winter.
Right.
But neural nets came back in the 80s with things like backpropagation. Key textbooks like Russell and Norvik's appeared in the mid-90s, kind of standardizing the field.
And then the big public moment.
Exactly. Deep Blue beating Kasparov in chess in 97.
Huge deal at a time.
Massive. Then IBM Watson winning Jeopardy in 2011. AlphaGo beating the World Go champion in 2016. That was another shock.
Yeah.
And then, the explosion of large language models and generative AI from 2022 onwards.
Quite a timeline. It really feels like the pace is accelerating now.
It absolutely does.
Right.
I mean, the future seems packed with potential across so many areas, driven by this incredibly powerful tech. But, as we've discussed, realizing that potential responsibly, that means really grappling with the ethics, the workforce changes, making sure it stays aligned with human values. It's not science fiction anymore. It's here, shaping things now.
So wrapping this up, thinking about that rapid pace, the deep integration into our lives, what's maybe a final thought for people to chew on?
I think a really crucial question is, how do we as individuals and as a society best prepare for a future where collaborating with intelligent machines is just normal? How do we strike that balance between embracing progress and safeguarding our values, our rights, our humanity?
Finding that balance. That's a great point to end on. For those of you listening who want to dig deeper, there are loads of resources. Check out the publications we mentioned like Alltech Magazine, Brookings Reports, InTech Open Articles, info from IBM.
Yeah, and things like books by Kurzweil or Bostrom mentioned in the sources, podcasts like AI Alignment or Data Skeptic, online courses, the MIT Tech Review, TED Talks. Lots out there.
Definitely. Explore the areas that sparked your interest today.
Absolutely. The more we all understand, the better we can navigate what's coming.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you some valuable insights into the really exciting and complex world of artificial intelligence.